My name Rosny Adams. Come here, we give a Ross knee, and me don't give a damn. Yo.
Ja! Thought about adapting my new name, you know? Man to be out here calling me Mr. RawFix it.
Nah, that's trademarked.
Yeah, but I'm still Odara. I trust.
That's the one. That's the one we need for this platform.
It'll never leave. Medea. I'm a man of many names.
The faceless man.
Aha. In some states, I'm known to be more dangerous than the Mandarin himself.
Mandarin?
Yeah. You know, the ancient Mandarin from Chinese lineage?
Nah.
Damn.
What is that exactly?
He's like pre-Genghis Khan. He was kings and emperors would call on him to like wipe out whole like empires, and no one knew who he was. He was just a name, the Mandarin.
So we celebrate this man when we eat at that buffet.
That's the funniest part. But now what makes it even funnier, the whole world was scared of a fruit.
A fruit?
Get it? The Mandarin.
That's the name of a fruit too? So why did they name the serial killer a fruit?
Strike fear, fam. It
Nah,
sounds super
that would
soft.
never have made it over in America. I know they're not going for that.
But
You
yo,
never heard of-
Americans were scared of the Mandarin. Well, America wasn't really a thing, but
It's just a story though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about
the
if
Mandarin.
Yeah, like if a man was rampaging calling himself the Tangerine, he'd get toasted, man. You know how many people got defense?
Nah, but what if I pulled up in the spot? Yo, they call me the Tangerine because I leave tangerine skins at the crime scene.
Nah, that's disgusting. It's like you're more...
He's already a sicko, fam. He's a serial killer.
I just feel like he's more liable to, like, make me a fruit salad.
Oh, man. Ah.
Holy smokes.
Why was this so hard to pull up? I got it already, but I'm just doing a comparison.
Might as well ease into it.
Yo, man is selling for $2.47 right now.
American.
Should I buy more?
Yeah,
Where's my phone?
trust me.
Yo, I have to get you up on this hyperfund right now, doc.
Well, if I can use my line of credit to boom it up, that'd be sick.
I just figured out a new an APY play with it. You know? The hard to attain MOFs. I'm jumping through hula hoops acquiring it, but I think I finally understand. The only downside is it's taking way too long for the money to transfer, fam.
As long as you have proof that it comes through, you know? Because remember, we were mad skeptical before.
It low-key does, but it's an actual 14 hours to go from
That's
the Hyperverse platform onto a wallet.
That's crazy, though.
Like, I did this transaction almost 12 hours ago.
So, is that the one with the whole molecular futures and all that?
And then you have to transfer it to this Who platform.
Mm-hmm.
Because Qcoin...
The HU?
Nah, HOO. Who?
Oh. No, that's the owl. Right?
Was it?
Because remember the black lady's tutorial? She was like, oh, I use Who Exchange.
Yeah.
And we're
Because at
skeptical
first
as
they
hell.
were telling us the OKX.
Yeah.
And now that doesn't work in Canada.
Yeah.
So now we hopped on to Who. Which, yeah, it was that lady.
Mm-hmm.
But low-key, it does work. Like, I did one transaction the other day, and I actually got my money. Then I moved it off of here onto crypto. And my crypto card working now, fam.
That's madness. We might as well,
Uncharted.
let everybody in on that, okay? So welcome to the listeners.
Wagwan!
We're back.
We here!
Episode 7, your boy, Malik, the engineer.
And your boy, Mr. RawFix.
Bringing you the Everything Validated podcast, the show where we blend hip hop and crypto together for the betterment of the people. Y'all might have noticed a brief intermission, but we are back and better than ever.
No, we looking clean.
That part. There's been a lot of financial news, changes, things going on, especially on our side of the border in Canada. Recent interest rate hike to be expected, of course. We got to combat the inflation somehow. So the Fed did announce half a percentage point increase on the overnight rate. So just generally speaking, overnight banks lend money. And if they start to lend money basically too expensively, the banks will go to the highest threshold to bring what the banks are doing down to that point. So if the banks are lending money for 3% and the bank has a band of 2 to 2.5%, they'll lend money at 2.5% for that night, so that banks will have to have downward pressure on their rate and be consistent where the bank wants the overnight rate to be. So they increase the rate to slow down the money supply and reduce the current inflation that we're in right now. So hopefully that helps us out a little bit.
No, it's actually crazy speaking on that inflation. It is at its highest.
You think we're in hyperinflation for Canada?
Bro, the last time we seen anything in these ranges was, I believe, 2011. And that was at 3.2. We're sitting at a 5% inflation rate right now.
It's just hard to believe because we're watching, the government have what seems to be a plan. We went through the quantitative easing. Now we're doing the tightening. You know what I mean? So it's like they don't seem to be indicating any panic. You know what I mean? Like the market usually prevails. So, and the VIX is not telling us, the volatility of the market is not telling us that we're in any type of, 2008 situation. We're not in a COVID type situation. We're in a unique, I guess, trough of the business cycle. So it's just for us to make some type of recovery. Or are you saying like you're fearing more of a crash here?
I'm low-key fearing more of a crash because if you look at it, we got the inflation rate at all-time high, 5%. The housing bubble is still up there. Still crazy.
Well, is it a bubble then? Because I'm not a real estate expert, right? This is not financial advice, and we are not financial advisors. Just some edutainment for you guys. But is it a housing bubble, especially in Toronto, if, let's say, houses go from $1 million to 1.8 on average, and now you can't even get a small piece of square footage for less than $1 million, right? Or let's just call it 1.8 is the average. It is not, but let's call it 1.8, right? Now, if I get that for 1.8, I'm gonna experience some swings in its value. But if I sell it for something more than 1.8, right? Or I guess what I'm saying in a short form is if that bubble never brings my asset value down, is it a bubble? You know what I mean? If that asset now has had an owner since what we call the bubble and it's transferred, like I've made my flip on that real estate and the next person is slated to continue to make profits, is it a bubble or are we just growing? Like, is the value of that asset class growing?
I will say it is a growth if majority of the economy itself could take part in this growth. Because from what I'm seeing is like thinking about the new generation, the younger people coming in, not all of them could afford this housing community. And we already know that previous things that have inflated this housing community or the price market due to foreign buyers, foreign investors, things like that. And yes, now we do have the new legislation in full effect where foreign buyers can't purchase anything.
But it's not an undo button. What's already happened is happened, and the thing is, like, we're not getting any more land, less the little parks they're making on these lakes, shore experiences and things. But we're not getting land that we can, have more room to build homes and lower the price because it's less scarcity. Like, that's why I was originally interested in real estate because there's only so much land, and once you let's say, theoretically own some land, it's only going to be more and more competitive as the population on Earth increases.
But now where I argue that is, for example, the new home buy. There's houses still being put up as we speak right now.
Yep.
And the average, just going off Gusto, the average house in Toronto or anywhere in the GTA, you're looking at about 800,000. Tell me anyone fresh out of school,
No, got
anyone, any new home buyers that are trying to get into the market now able to afford that. So what I'm seeing is a lot of houses being put up, a lot of these construction companies throwing up these houses, but not enough people actually able to buy in.
Tell me this is a joke. Blog TO is reporting the average detached house in Toronto will now cost over $2 million. This is posted February. I mean that's what I'm saying. I mean, you know, when it went to 1.5, they would have said, okay, like it's getting out of hand. It's going to $2 million for a detached in the actual region of Toronto. It is pretty crowded, to say the least. I mean, you know, there's, to respond to your point, as like a lot of people might not be able to contribute to that market. I think that's just it depends their scope, because you know, we've discussed pre-constructions, we've discussed group economics.
Yep.
There's many ways that my $100 can participate in $100,000 investment, right? Like the whole gold run thing, ADDI, you know, mining process. Like I can't go mine some gold, but I can help an entity that's trying to do that. You know what I mean?
I hear that.
My fraction of help. You know, it's kind of like these fractional shares that you can invest in Canada now. It's pretty dope. If you guys need any of those, let me know. I got a simple link for you. 2 free stocks. Shameless plug. And since we're at this point, go ahead and like the video. Everything Validated, brought to you by the Hip Hop Blockchain Network, where everything is validated. On all platforms, new platforms, and whatever platform you want to see us at. We just got a Discord. We're linked
about
up
to get that up.
for sure. More conversations. I like the way it's organized. You're showing me the hashtags, and you can have like specific conversations.
Yes, and not only that, but like as you said, with like the hashtags, the different group categories, different roles, so it's easy to identify people within our community. So like, you know, we're gonna have some categories like investors, technical and analysts, things
Right.
like that, to differentiate our community. And you know, just some place where all of us could get together, chop it up.
Yeah, and hone in on your focus, right? Like if you're a fundamental analyzer and you're looking at these company statements and you feel like you don't have anyone to break them down with, or you're seeing something that you just want to bounce off of us, you could definitely drop that in the Discord. You know, like Mr. RawFix was letting you know, there's going to be different categories that should relate to you, and you can just connect with us in that way. And for those looking for a collaboration, another platform we hopped onto there is called Audrey. So this is fairly new to us. It seems to be incentivizing podcasters to collaborate. So if you've heard of Audrey, let us know your thoughts in the comments. For us, we are on there now. So if you have a collaboration that you want to send to us or propose,
Or even if you want us to just shout out your podcast, you know, what's amazing with the Audrey platform there, you can promote. So we will be throwing up some prices on there, you know. So feel free, slide in, connect with us on the Audrey. One thing I do like is their Explore page, because with that Explore page, I tapped into a lot of different podcasts within the community that I had no idea about.
it seems like a lot of like coaches too, like the helpful podcast, you know, and I relate to that because it's information, right? And we're in the information age, so it's a lot of value in long form content that's delivering information.
And don't forget, we're not all about the financial literacy. We are called the Hip Hop Blockchain. So we do have the hip hop news. We do talk about pop culture. So even if you want to chop it up, you know, let us know some of your upcoming projects. Hear your story. Feel free to connect. We don't bite.
And if you don't want to connect, right, you just want to remain anonymous, we got a community for you as well. You can catch us on Reddit. You can post your feedback, discussions, or start a conversation of your own, whether it be positive or negative, in relation to Everything is Validated, the podcast, or just us. Get it going on Reddit, and you might even see us, add in our 2 cents, maybe on a burner account like Kevin Durant.
Got to be media friendly out here, you know?
For sure. Just switch up the IP with the VPN. But that being said, it's getting a little specific. Before we delve into any specific topic for today's episode, I owe some respect. That being said, an introduction is due. How are we doing today, Mr. RawFix?
Whew, I am feeling good today. No? Been on a production, what would I call it? Just been a producing madman lately, to be super honest.
Okay.
Reason being, connected up with Mr. S1 himself,
Jeez.
Cymatic one.
Okay.
I am now a student in the Cymatic Project Impact.
Let them
course.
know who Cymatic is, right? Because this is Everything Validated. We might have some finance heads that's waiting for our chart analysis, and we're talking about S1 right now. So let them know in case they forgot.
So Mr. S1, multi-Grammy award-winning producer. He's worked with the likes of Kanye West, Eminem.
I mean, and when you say you've been connected with him, how did you connect? Because I notice a problem we have in this community right now when trying to, further get into our interests is mentorship and bridges that would help bridge those gaps between our interests and getting really good at our interests. So how did you connect exactly with S1?
So going through a lot of YouTube videos, discovering a lot of different nuances and tricks, stumbled upon Cymatics, which if you're in this producer game, you should be familiar with Cymatics because they are heavy in the sound design. They're heavy in the loop kits. They make some real quality stuff. And me signing up for a lot of their newsletters and stuff, an email was sent back to me regarding producer secrets, I had no idea what it was. I was scratching my head trying to figure out where this link came from because they sent me a text. They're notorious for the text.
That's high-level marketing. That's high level.
So I decided, you know what? I'm at this point in my career where any opportunity is a good opportunity as long as I could see value in the product. So I jumped into the text, I opened up the link, I scrolled through, saw what they're offering, and noticed he was offering a 6-week course. Only at the time, I think it was open to 600 students. The course is closed for now. You have to get on the waiting list.
Don't sleep. But for full disclosure, so it's like you're seeing a producer secrets crash course or some sort of development program, right? And at that point, you've already been producing. You've already may have run into your own roadblocks.
Yes.
And at this point, you're trying to basically develop outside of your own abilities.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm forever trying to elevate my game. It being listening to other producers, whether it's on Twitch, shout out to Ali Got Beats, Slippery Haze, y'all know who you are. Or just tapping into other Discord communities. Really utilizing this Discord tool is super powerful.
So you saw some of the things they're offering in this course. You saw who was provided by, and of course heard some of their freebies, right? Because Cymatics does send out melodies, like you were saying, that producers can use and add, make the beat to. So you're already aware of their quality at that time, which these factors made you lean in and go ahead and sign
up. And then just leaning on to S1's plenty,
like his track
plethora
record?
of accolades. And just seeing how he conducts himself, very professional guy, very laid back as well. Real human being.
I did catch a glimpse of a class, and he seems very mature. I mean, he's not a young man, right? So it's like when we're looking for these mentors or courses or ways to sharpen our blade. Sometimes it can come from peers, but experience is a key determining factor in the value
100%.
you're going to get from that. So, Mr. S1's in his 40s, and not that that's a bad thing to make it and be known for music. The older you get, is kind of it's better. You know what I mean? You've been around. He's would have worked with a lot of different hardware and software in terms of production. So he's definitely accrued his value over the time, as RawFix was mentioning, working with the good music, Kanye's of the world. So it's not by coincidence. And then to align yourself with that greatness, that 1%, whatever you're aiming for, you can utilize Ken Cole's principle, which is the proximity principle. So to be like that greatness, I have to be around it. I have to be near it. I have to be with it. You know what I mean? Go where it goes. Kind of walk how it walks,
Yep.
essentially, till you are just within that circle. So you have to change your circle until you're rubbing shoulders with where you want to be, kind of. So that's why I like the move you took there.
And from what I've realized, this is a snail's pace race. But at the same time, anything could happen. You could blow up at any given moment. For example, S1 is in his 40s now, and he didn't blow up realistically until he was at 30, 31, 35. So anything could happen. You just have to, the name of the game is to remain consistent.
Stay ready.
Keep sharpening your blades.
Quadrant
keep
2.
Building. And, put it out there for the people to see. And that's one thing that...
That being said, go check out our YouTube beats. You know what I mean? We're going to put the playlist right here. Yeah, we've been...
Shameless plugs all through.
Yeah, we're working. We don't just full-time deliver a pod. We got some audio therapy for you in our YouTube Beats playlist. Let us know if you're hopping on the beats. If not, just, have a conversation, have a freestyle session to it, cook to it, do whatever. Run up the legs for us.
We will be putting out some beat tapes later, so you know.
Right, and maybe a tutorial or two. So if you like a beat and you want to know how we broke down each individual part in terms of the mix arrangement, how to play it, what inspired it, just let us know and we can break those down for you, maybe on Patreon or something.
Don't forget to also check out our TikTok. Get that buzzing, Feel free to stitch some of our work. Drop a freestyle to some of our work,
Yeah, we're expanding the team and we got some new TikTok practices we're about to employ. So catch us now before we get too viral. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you get those automated ones. Mr. RawFix is out of the office right now. Please catch him later. Oh, man. Well, it's good to know everything's been holding up well. It has been such an absence, but at the end of the day, we're committed to delivering this information to people that need it. So if you found or find any of our pods useful, whether it's Spotify, YouTube, anywhere, Apple, please give a retweet, let your family members know, and we can continue to do the good work. Okay? So on my way in, I couldn't help but notice we are still being affected by shortages of all kind, okay? And I was driving, so I'm looking at every gas station on my way here, and those oil prices are not getting any better right now. It's seemingly due to the constraints of the situation with Russia right now. So prayers to everyone involved. I hope that we can find a solution to it, because I mean, just like the housing bubble, we can't just raise gas by 20-30 cents and the government doesn't step in at all and we have no solution. Like right now, classic, right? Business evolves and consumers are paying the brunt of the evolution and the improvement. But when gas goes up 20-30 cents, we're talking about almost that daily basket. Like that's almost daily bread items. This is like stuff that makes inflation itself. If I have to pay for gas, let's say once a week at least, you got an outright car, that's a big change in your budget. You know what I mean? And there's not much subsidy for that right now. So I do wonder, what the government might be planning about that, or if we're going to see something like, I think Alberta did it, or was it Saskatchewan, where they had to take off the gas tax.
You know what I find more crazy, though? What is really driving this gas prices at this point right now? Because I really feel like gas stations are picking and choosing what price they want to go to monopoly with.
Well, no, we know it's based on the crude oil and then the few suppliers that send it out globally, right? Because there's the OPEC and then, but from what I've read, be it on CNN or Market Watch, it seems to be pressure. I'm not like a master on oil markets, but it seems to be pressure from the war and the effects of the war, and now not as many people are going to get that Russian sourced oil. So thus, it's just less oil on the market. Price has to go up. But what do we do if things like that don't change? You know what I mean?
Right here from worldometers.info, it says Russia holds about 1,688 trillion cubic feet of gas reservoirs as of 2017. So what that means in retrospect is they account for about 24% of the world's natural gas.
You know what I mean? Like, you can see how that would be putting us in a chokehold here. And it's like we're just, because we have other shortages too, right? Like lumber and normal grocery items, stuff like that is having supply and demand issues right now, supply chain issues. What would you want even as a consumer? You buy gas, you know what I mean? Like, as much as you're part of electric gang too, is that our only solution? Do we have to go electric to get out of this? The bill to go all electric on our vehicles is coming anyway. I mean, it's been passed. So is that the only way? Is this all kind of how the pandemic brought forth a lot of factors to make us work from home, or a lot of factors to make us start our own business? A lot of things happened that made us want to seek different levels of entertainment, right?
Yes.
Or go 5G because, hey, I'm going to use the internet more, and since I'm inside, and since you provide 5G now, let me just use it, So is this one of those ones where oil is harder to get? They're not making it any easier for at least where we are right now, and we don't have a solution to lower the price, right? We can't strike. We need to move our vehicles. It is what it is, right? So I guess what I'm saying is, if we can't force a change from our side, and they've been stringing it along because we've suffered. If I'm looking at it like, government must be difficult, but if I saw this as, prime minister or premier,
my first initiative,
I can't let my people go through that. Like, that's terrible. Like, my week to week has changed, and you're just coming off the pandemic where I was subsidizing your daily life. Now I can't subsidize your gas. It's just kind of inconsistent. You know what I mean? So, sure, we can always hustle a bit more, make a bit more. Like, I'm not worried about that slight fluctuation. I'm worried about how it's affecting everyone else. You know what I mean? And how, if we let these little things keep going, and now, let's say the lower middle class or the lower class person has just had enough to just survive that obstacle and that variable. You know what I mean? But now we know that they don't have an emergency fund, that kind of person. They don't have the requisite support in place to deal with so much fluctuations in budget, inflation. You know what I mean? And let alone the understanding to know what the heck's going on, and that they might just have to hold on until the market, meets the other side. Like, it can be very tough for that person right now. Like the single moms. Like, I'm just wondering, like, for the changes we did have recently, right? And that do affect the market, like the Ottawa protests, right? And this is not a political podcast, but the Ottawa protests changed a lot for us.
Yep.
Right? Mandates dropped now, but they said it was because of health. Either way, businesses open, people are outside, we can do things again.
Things are circulating slowly again.
You know what I mean? So it's like, do we have to protest to get gas back low again? Like, what's going on? Or are we just going to be like how we were in other factors of that pandemic situation and roll over, and then now we just have to deal with this? So now houses are $2 million, gas is going for $1.80 a liter. You know what I mean? And you just have to just look for a different occupation. But this is all amid the Great Resignation. So I just wonder how this looks in a couple of years. Overall? Yeah, like, how does it look? What has the longest lasting effects? You know what I mean? Like, okay, do we say, okay, gas got too high and Canadians just started buying electric cars? Like, you know what I mean? Like I wonder
realistically, how I'm looking at it is either, like, as sad as it is, most of it's falling on our hands now, because as we see, the government's already trying to figure out a whole lot of what's going on right now. So
Yeah.
now the responsibility kind of falls on us to say, okay, I need to start watching where I'm going. Can't be doing frivolous trips no more.
Right.
Might actually have to consider, if you can't do the electric, because don't get me wrong, electric cars are a little expensive. I believe the starting mark on most of these electric vehicles is $50K. So might have to opt for a hybrid, you know? Like,
Yeah.
the smaller vehicles, less lavish gas guzzlers.
Yeah.
It comes down to, we have to kind of adjust our way of living, our whole way of life.
100%.
Just in order to accommodate, because this is not feasible, bro.
I'm telling you, like, you know, I don't know if it's going to take an election or... I don't wait, you know, I try not to wait for the government to save me. Like, I wasn't one of those people, oh, the pandemic's happening, let me wait and, you know, get some serve. For those who needed it, I understand. But, like, I don't believe that they can quickly do this and change our lives or make it better for all of us. But at the same time, if something's happening to a mass detriment, I'm just curious to see what triggers intervention. You know, how far do they let this thing go?
Like,
so,
it's almost at the point where very soon we might just start seeing local people picketing at Petro.
you see what I'm saying? And then it makes me think back to stuff we've been hearing for the last, you know, maybe 2-3 years, or maybe 2016 and beyond, if you were an early adopter, crypto as a safe haven. Because everything else, it seems to be getting inflated, devalued.
Yeah.
And it's like, I look at my Bitcoin, I'm like, I can kind of predict these price points, you know what I mean? Or like, I can at least
see and gauge the fluctuations.
Yeah, and I understand based on the volume why the price is going up and down. You know, you can see when institutions are buying, like stuff like that, you know,
Yep.
like you just know a bit more. And it's crazy because some people will say, well, like, oh, there's so much I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much you don't know about government operations. You know what I mean? And I'm a man that's worked for the government, municipal and federal. Like, there's so much you don't know, like, you know? Like, and I wasn't even on a high level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can imagine.
And then when it comes to this crypto, when it comes to the crypto aspect, everything's open. I could go out and find white papers. I could go out I could sit in for hearings. I could take part in votes.
Yes.
Everything is communal based, so you could study. You could figure out, okay, this is the rules to the game. All right, so this is how we have to play.
It can kind of bring you comfort and more importantly, like the value, because, for example, that same single mom, you know, a couple kids struggling amid all these changes to her budget. Not that I'm recommending for her to invest in crypto, but let's just say all of her assets is cash and it's in her bank account like normal, you know. That's not good. Like, she's just losing every day. You know, gas is going up, bread's going up, diapers going up, everything's going up. Your money's not going up. I'm just putting my money in the bank. It's not an investment. You know what I mean? And then
what do I do?
to the flip side, there's people like you who carry around a crypto card. So let's say, and this is not like, not every day is Christmas, right? This is not ideal life every time. It's not like when you go to the grocery store, because milk is up 50 cents and you just made 50 cents on your crypto card, you're going to spend a crypto. It's not always going to work like that, right?
Yeah.
But to have the option to spend an asset that might save me from, it's kind of like a hedge against the value I lost in my dollar.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I can spend this and it affects me less because it takes less of it to get that same loaf of bread. When you see all the things in place for us to go more digital and more crypto, it's hard to see, like, to think that it's
hard
not
to stay average recreational, like what we're used to. And not only that, I find with this crypto markets, there's so much more investment opportunities because the dollar value that I'm losing here in this normal day-to-day economy, like, for example, like, you know how much bread's hitting for right now? It almost makes me feel like my dollar is useless.
like a loaf.
Yeah, or make matters worse, a tin of corned beef, fam. Tin of corned beef. I can't even have corned beef and cabbage no more. But
Not even on Easter.
trust me. Don't get me started with the tin cheese right now. But But just knowing that, okay, I have my regular dollars sitting in a bank, at this point losing value as the day goes on.
Literally.
I can now take out maybe 25% of that, because I got bills to pay. So take out maybe 25% of that and put it in the crypto market now.
As a store of value.
Yes. Same principles as I would have of leaving it in a bank. But now putting it in the crypto market, and now also investing that same money in some sort of yield or farm or stake.
Yeah. Because
I'm
now
now
it's like
able to double it even faster.
Yeah, so that's one level deeper, right? And I try to keep it on the surface for people that might just be 100% cash, like have no knowledge of what else that they can employ in terms of financial vehicles. But yeah, like not only just using it as a store of value, kind of like, hey, I'm going to get a house because they're not making any more land. I'm going to get some Bitcoin because they're not making any more Bitcoin.
Yep.
So now I can have more of like non-fungibility in that asset, right? So there's no money being printed essentially, right? But now with that Bitcoin, like you're saying, you can do some sort of farm or staking of that asset where the platforms are going to pay you for just holding it,
just to have it
for certain periods of time, or
and
for pairing it in certain ways. Exactly, offering the liquidity to the community. So I just feel like even that, the fact that you get rewarded for offering liquidity, meaning, hey, you're keeping your supply here to make ease of flow for buyers and sellers of this asset. Like they cryptocurrencies codes or their white papers premises, like their policies, are promoting positive behaviors in finance.
And it's teaching us how to be a community again.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if the government started taking things from how these autonomous cryptos have been running their operations. You know what I mean?
Well, actually, speaking on that specifically, you do have countries like, say, for example, Nigeria trying to implement the same thing. So they got their digital naira essentially, and the government is the one pushing this incentive with the Nigerian World Bank.
Because why not grow with your users of capital?
Exactly.
Like,
now it's a real community bank.
And it brings me back to the whole Justin Sun move, right? How we left Tron and now he's in government, like we discussed, I think, a few episodes ago. And if you are looking for a resource to find white papers and break down how certain cryptocurrencies work, we gave you guys whitepaper.io last episode 6, HyperDAO. So feel free to check that out. If you're part of our Patreon, you can see our episode tracker, and thus all the resources will be in a list for you. Okay, but also, I mean, when you're thinking about using crypto to hedge against inflation, to store value, and then to yield, and potentially as a strategy to then have more returns, someone who does that a lot is Elon Musk. Mr. News himself goes ahead and purchases 9.2% of Twitter. It's been a crazy couple weeks. From what I get, did some research on the move. It's actually pretty interesting. So before I break it down, I just want to say Square has rebranded to Block. Okay, that will be relevant. Okay, and Square had the same owner for a while, Jack Dorsey. Still a board member of Twitter, actually, according to Wikipedia, right? So now he's part of Twitter and Block, two of the companies he's most known for. Why is that important in relation to Elon Musk? So in response to Elon getting that position, Twitter users and Twitter investors wanted to know, if is that a bullish signal or a bearish signal? It's kind of funny to me what happens next, but I mean, we gotta salute Elon.
Nah, he be thinking 30 steps ahead.
Yeah, so some people thought because he had the biggest stake with that purchase of Twitter that he was going to go for a takeover bid. Again, I think he tried to do it before in 2018, which brought me to some research that showed how he offered a number that included the numbers 420, and it was some sort of joke. And he's done it again by offering to pay $54.20 for the outstanding stock. And they can think if they want to accept that for their shares, he's going to buy them out of their shares.
When's the closing date on this? 420?
Yeah, like just a real funny move. But in addition to that, right, offering to buy out and taking the largest position on a platform that he's so vocal on, right? Like he's one of our favorite people on Twitter.
Says something on Twitter, everything moves.
Yeah, like markets move. He's trending automatically. Tesla's value changes, like, and he has crypto in his portfolio, so you could see why that community, that Twitter community that's kind of known for like the pump and dumps, the Reddit runs, like
perfect, because when you think about it, Twitter's a tool utilized for like quick instant broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
And like, who better to have a big stake in it than Mr. Market himself?
Right? Yeah, I thought that was a really strong move from Musk to get stake in Twitter. I mean, like, it's part of his brand at this point. Like, he's made so many important movements or announcements that I'm sure were lucrative for him on Twitter. But just furthermore, it's amid a similar announcement coming from Tesla to do a collab with Block to create a solar-powered crypto mining facility in Texas, which is where the Tesla plant is also. So they're making use of this no state tax. They're making use of the land and the value of land in Texas. I mean, strong moves, it seems like, from Mr. Tesla. You can let us know what you think about those. But last but not least, some people were pretty surprised to find out, back to what kind of signal is this from Mr. Elon, to find out that he had a short position in Twitter. So, I mean, talk about hedging for risk, right? Like, this guy buys 10% approximately of a company and then drops the news that he also has a sizable short position in the same company. So it's like, just in case the news of me being here brought the company down, I'm gonna get paid. Okay. 3 days ago, it was reported that he's also being sued. So he's being sued by some shareholders, it seems, for delayed disclosure of his Twitter stake. So he would have had to put in paperwork with the SEC to let them know. I'm trying to clarify. Was it on the short or was it on his? So April 4th, he disclosed it, but they're trying to say March 24th, he should have disclosed that he was going to have that 9.2%, because what they're trying to say